Here's a visit to Corriganville Park in the Simi Hills at the eastern end of the Simi Valley. Corriganville was once a thriving movie set for westerns and other movies, and it was named after a western player named Crash Corrigan. The area was a setting for about 1,000 movie and television shows between 1937 and 1965. The western town settings are all gone now, except for some concrete foundations and stone walls, along with some numerous hiking trails. And today we're going to traverse some of these trails to take a look. Beginning at the parking area and heading northeast towards the hills. And then through a tunnel under the 118 freeway, heading up towards Rocky Peak. At the start of our trip, we find this kiosk with a little bit of information about the area. And here Dale gets ready to start our trip down the trail. And then a short ways up the trail, we pass by an area called the Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest got its name from the movie Robin Hood, which was filmed here. And there's also an identifying sign along the trail telling us about it. And here and there we find these large mounds of boulders. This is rock material that came out of a railroad tunnel that was built for the Simi Valley in 1904. Then we come upon what is called Camp Rotary. This is a youth campground and picnic shelter area established by the Rotary Club. It's used by many youth groups to give the kids a taste of the outdoors. Then we cross over a concrete pool that was built to film many of the movies and underwater scenes at Corriganville. And these movies included Creatures from the Black Lagoon, Jungle Jim, and African Queen, as the sign informed us. Now we find this rather large, steep earth bank in front of us. Well, this one is man-made and has the 118 freeway atop it. We're going to take a little side trip to take us up to a concrete tunnel that goes underneath the freeway. And on the way up, we can look back and take a little bit of an overview of the Corriganville Park. But then Dale trudges along on his way up the trail, which became a little bit steep in places. And the higher we get, the better the view we begin to get. Not only of the park, but other parts of the Simi Valley out beyond. Then we find the tunnel that's going to get us over to the other side of the freeway. And not surprisingly, the tunnel includes graffiti along its walls. The trail continues to climb on up on the other side of the freeway, where we can look back and see the freeway heading down into the Simi Valley. Along one side of the trail we can look over and see these interesting rock formations. Here the trail dipped down a little bit to get a little closer to these rocks. Dale takes a little closer look at this sandstone wall. This sandstone apparently weathers pretty easily. It's pockmarked with little holes and crevices, great for the birds. And of course, with most of these spring hikes, we find wildflowers here and there. But then this trail continues on up to join the Rocky Peak Trail, where we've been before from a different direction. So we decided it was time to turn around and start back, as Jack does here, toward the tunnel under the freeway and back to Corriganville. with the trail being a little bit rocky in spots, but not really a problem. And then the tunnel entrance came into view. This tunnel was required to be built when the freeway was built to connect Bob Hope's ranch, which was bisected during the construction of the freeway. And once back in the Corriganville area, we decided to take a loop trail that would get us back to our starting point. This trail began as a quite wide one, but very soon started to narrow down. In fact, it almost started to disappear, to the point where we almost had to make our own trail. But after a bit of scrambling over rocks and boulders, we broke out into the open again. And then we were back into the movie set area, with only concrete foundations remaining. This one being known as Fort Apache. And then on to the main western town set, known as Silvertown, with again nothing left but concrete foundations and a few rock walls, including the walls of an old barn that was used to stable horses in movie-making days. And so we finished an interesting day at Corriganville, after hiking around here and there for a total of about 4 miles.